German bishop, this is a Catholic bishop, admits to getting civilly married after his ordination. Now, in the Eastern churches, Eastern Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, you get married before ordination. And you can't be a bishop if you're married by way of discipline. You can have married priests, but you have to be married before the ordination. After the ordination, you cannot get married. And if your spouse passes away, you cannot get remarried because you've already been ordained. So you're never allowed to get married after ordination, no matter what we're talking about. Now, in the Latin rite, it's incredibly rare where there's an allowance for married Latin rite clergy. It happens. It's rare. It's usually associated with the Anglican ordinariate, but there are some other exceptions. 99.9% of the time, however, there's the discipline of priestly celibacy. And so there's never a marriage, civil, sacramental, doesn't matter. That's never allowed before your ordination or after your ordination. If you're married before ordination, then you're ineligible for ordination. And if you're ordained, you're now ineligible for any kind of marriage after that. The German missionary Bishop Reinhold Nann has publicly acknowledged marrying a Peruvian woman in a civil ceremony despite remaining ordained. In a statement given to the German Catholic news agency KNA, Bishop Nann, aged 65 and formerly serving in the Archdiocese of Freiburg, admitted the civil marriage and blamed institutional failures for his decision. Now, in reality, in fairness, okay, look, if you're going to make a decision, right, just don't blame other people, okay? Yes, this is forbidden canonically, and we'll see that here in a moment. Regardless of your reasons for it, don't blame other people for it, right? Don't blame institutional failures for it. Just say, hey, I'm not blaming anybody. I did this because I want to be with this person. Just kind of man up to it, right? I don't understand the idea of blaming institutional failures. I don't see how that one thing leads to another. But watch what he does say about the blaming part. That is kind of sad to hear. The higher I climbed, the clearer the extent of the abysses, tragedies, abuse, mediocrity, and lies became to me. I saw too much, and it horrified and depressed me, he said. I was becoming increasingly lonely and superficial. That's heartbreaking. It reminds me of, wasn't it a German bishop? Less than a year ago, I did a show on it. It was a bishop who said, I'm resigning. I can't do this anymore. And his reason was, I've seen too much corruption in the church. I can't do this anymore. And that was heartbreaking. And we've seen a lot of that corruption. We've seen a lot of the failure. I cover that, here on this channel, some of it. But, when you're in the position of a bishop, you see way more than we see. I suspect that's why you probably have a lot of bishops who just don't even believe the faith. I think probably by that time that they become a bishop or have been a bishop for a while or become a cardinal, it's just become a career path for them at that point. And they're already really invested into it. And frankly, there is power and money that comes with it. Who's going to turn away power and money? Most people won't, especially if you have your retirement plan invested in this. And this is all your career is, and you have your skill set set around this. You don't have anything to fall back on. I think a lot of these people probably lose the faith. They don't believe Christianity anymore. But they remain where they are and, continue to reap the benefits and say what needs to be said and kind of do the bare minimum to get by. Why do they probably lose the faith? I think because of what the bishop is saying here. You end up seeing too much, right? You end up seeing so much scandal. You end up there's that phrase like seeing how the hot dog is made or something, right? Or once you work at McDonald's, you'll never want to eat the food again. You know, if you see how a hot dog is made, you'll never eat it. If you see how they handle your food behind the scenes, you'll never eat at the restaurant. Um, I think that's probably what takes place is when you see all the stuff that takes place behind the scenes, you kind of lose any faith in the system, and you just see a whole bunch of scandal and you become scandalized. I think that may be what happened with him here. That's what it sounds like to me. He says, the higher I climbed, to me, it sounds like the higher I climbed in the hierarchy, you know, ordained as a transitional. Well, first of all, you go through seminary. By the time you go through seminary, you're already scandalized. Ask any seminarian. You already see some horrible things in seminary. If you make it through seminary and you haven't, left the faith already, you push through, you get ordained a transitional deacon. And then shortly after that, you get ordained a priest. And then you serve as like some associate priest somewhere, an assistant priest. You see a lot of scandalous things, and eventually you may become a pastor, right? Hey, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. I just want to remind you, hit the subscribe button and the like button. Also consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/reason and theology, or just hit the join button to become a channel member right here on YouTube. Okay, let's get back to the video. You get promoted to pastor. You see even more scandalous stuff then. And in rare cases, your name gets thrown in the hat to be a bishop. And even more rare cases, your name's actually chosen and you're made a bishop. By then, you've already seen a ton of scandal. But, you reach the episcopate, then you really get to see a lot of episcopal scandals. You really get let in on the inside scoop. And I think that's what happened here. The higher I climbed, the clearer the extent of the abysses. Tragedies, abuse, mediocrity, and lies became to me. Whew. I saw too much, and it horrified and depressed me. I was becoming increasingly lonely and superficial. So he's saying, because of all the horrible things I saw, all the scandal, it drove him to look for intimacy. It drove him for somebody to, be there with him. Some bishops, when they reach that point, they find a male lover. A seminarian, another priest, another bishop. And they can kind of hide it that way. In other cases, they may find a female companion. I assume this is a female companion. I mean, I didn't verify, but it sounds like it to me. Maybe I shouldn't be assuming. Maybe this is a civil marriage that's homosexual in nature. I don't know. I assumed it was heterosexual. But in this case, he found a companion, married her. In fact, they said a Peruvian woman. Okay, there it is. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, Peruvian woman. Okay, it is heterosexual. Well, that's refreshing. Right? At least there's that. I wouldn't blame the system, though, for that, right? I would just say, hey, look, I don't believe it anymore. I've been scandalized. I've seen too much. I just don't believe any of it anymore. I would just say that. I wouldn't blame anybody. I would just kind of own up to it. Bishop Nann's clerical career took off from working as a priest in Peru between 2002 and 2017 to his appointment in 2017 as the bishop of the territorial prelature of Caravelli, he resigned office in 2024, notifying the Vatican and his home archdiocese, citing depression, stress, and high blood pressure, which we have this article from 2024 where he does that. But now he says there were other issues involved, not just the stress, depression, high blood pressure. Depression was the reason, love was the cause. So now more is coming out. He added that following the COVID-2019 pandemic, he fell in love with his partner, now publicly living with him, and described the church's insistence on celibacy as desperate clinging that he believes does far more harm than good. And the question of the discipline of priestly celibacy has been debated a lot lately in the Latin Rite. But the notion of episcopal celibacy, I haven't seen any debates on that. And I mean, I think as late as maybe the 4th century, you could find married bishops. But I think probably from around the 4th century in both the East and West, it became a discipline to not have married bishops for a number of reasons. While the Vatican accepted his resignation from the prelature in 2024, Bishop Nann has now admitted the true reason was his personal relationship rather than health grounds he initially gave publicly. Although he informed his superiors of his intention to leave the priesthood, he did not seek laicization before entering the civil marriage. I wonder why he didn't do that. Maybe he just felt like not even going to waste my time kind of thing. I don't know. The revelations also raised further questions about his episcopal governance. During his tenure, he served as president of Caritas Peru and as a member of the Episcopal Commission for the Protection of Minors. That's scary. In 2020, his administration accepted into ministry a priest under investigation for civil allegations of sexual abuse. The priest was said to have been cleared by a Vatican process, but remained under civil investigation at the time. I wonder if when he says he saw how far the abyss went, tragedies, abuse, mediocrity, and lies, I wonder if that's in relation to his tenure in serving on the Episcopal Commission for the Protection of Minors and seeing a lot of stuff there. Sounds like it. Also in 2020, Bishop Nann drew public attention for permitting telephone confessions. Yeah, it's a thing. A move later reversed after Vatican intervention. And for issuing harsh public criticisms of his fellow prelate, Archbishop Ganswein, a former seminary classmate. Of course, that was a personal secretary to Benedict XVI. Okay. Tragic all the way around, right? All around. It's just a sad situation. And maybe he'll come out and tell us a little bit more details of the abyss, tragedies, abuse, mediocrity, and lies that led him to this decision. Because frankly, I think the laity are entitled to know what that is. Great Wall says, is this the same bishop you talked about retiring already? And this is just one, just more info. I think it may have been the same guy. Go and double check me. It's been a while since I did that video, so go and check it. I meant to check that before going live, but I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, I feel like it might be the same guy, but then again, it might be a different guy. Go and double check me on that. Let me know in the chat if you don't mind. Okay. The Code of Canon Law says this in Canon 1394. A cleric, so that's going to be deacon, priest, or bishop, who attempts marriage, even if only civilly, incurs an automatic suspension without prejudice to provisions of canons, blah, blah, blah. If after warning he has not reformed or continues to give scandal, he must progressively be punished by deprivations or even dismissal from the clerical state. I suspect Rome's going to dismiss him from the clerical state and laicize him, right? Then again, these days, they might not. These days, they might. It honestly feels like they're just, at this point, Rome is just saying, hey, guys, do whatever you want. Anything goes. We don't care anymore. Yeah, we have canon law, but nobody actually cares about it. Just do what you want these days. It's a free-for-all these days. is. It really feels that way, that there's so little discipline. They might not even do anything. I don't know. This is an open and shut case to laicize him, right? I mean, he's already resigned, right? So he doesn't hold office, but he should certainly be laicized, dismissed from the clerical state. Will that actually happen? It's a flip of a coin these days. I hope you enjoyed this video clip. I have a link to the full video in the comment section. If you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. We'll see you next time.